Jordan Crumbine here, professional video editor and full-time creative ninja, as it were. Taking a look behind the scenes at my recent typography video, a quote from the Joaquin Phoenix movie Joker. Let's take a quick look.
Oh, hey, guys.
Oh, you must be going down to that rally at City Hall. I hear it's gonna be nuts.
Oh, is that today?
Yeah. And what's with the makeup then?
My mom died. Celebrating.
Okay, so basically what I want to do here is kind of just take you a little behind the scenes of what the edit is, what I did with it, give you a behind the scenes look at how this thing came together, and talk about a little bit why I do something like this Kinetic typography, even though it's extraordinarily niche. It's not a well-populated topic or genre upon YouTube that people search and delve into content for. Okay, so one, my true passion is video editing. I love to put together that edit and final cut. And then two, I'm a big fan of typography, and putting all of that together into an animation is just like a perfect combination of creative energy. So what I really enjoy is finding innovative, fun ways to make some video edit and typography magic, basically. So kind of just taking a look at this. Just in this first shot, I'm setting up what we're doing in these videos. They're very short videos. The actual quote that inspired me to do this was, "My mom died, I'm celebrating." So I set it up with this title sequence right here at the beginning, and I love this. This is the first bit of super clever animation. I have the title motion tracked to the door peephole, and then this was the video where I acquainted myself with the distort tools, and I animated a distortion of that whole opening title, to the opening of the door. So as it swings open, the title actually shifts and defocuses. So I want to take you into what that looks like. So if I go into this title sequence, you'll see I actually have 3 different titles that make up this sequence. And I'm using a title pack. If I come over here, it's called message, and the actual title is message 33. So this is like the default animation. This is the default title pack. And there's an animate in, there's a little notification button, but the reason I'm using this particular title pack, this message from Motion VFX, is it has a built-in motion tracker as part of the tool set. So initially I had these titles on the top layer before I nested them. Turn that off, and you'll see this is the motion track right here. So it was tracked to the corner of the peephole. And once I did that for one layer of the title, then I duplicate it. And then that motion track information is duplicated, obviously, across all 3 layers of that title. So it's that's one, Joker, that's the second, and then movie quote, that's the third one. That motion track data for that entire shot is duplicated across all 3 titles. So we've got 3 titles, nest them together, and then from there, that's where I created that distortion and keyframed Gaussian blur and a focus blur. I was also adding focus blurs on these to give it a little bit more texture. So that's the fundamentals of what I'm doing with these videos. A little bit on the editing side. I'm using a piece of music in here called Joker's Wild by Young Kool-Aid. So I was very lucky. This particular scene in Joker actually has no music in it. So by adding in an extra instrumental track, that makes it more of a unique composition, certainly in the eyes of YouTube, certainly in the eyes of fair use. I've also recut this opening sequence a little bit, because there's the little guy in this scene too, who's almost completely cut out in the sequence of my edit, because he didn't add to the dialogue that I was trying to capture. But anyway, there's a detail in here as it starts playing out.
Oh, hey, guys.
Oh, you must be going down to that rally at City Hall. I hear it's gonna be nuts.
So we have Arthur's first lines, and then we go into the next character's lines. And you'll notice that Arthur's lines, all of his text is canted. It's all tilted. Each word or each line later on, actually I think it is each word, every word is tilted in a different direction. And then when the other character speaks, it's all straight line. Everything is on straight lines. I thought that was a fun way to differentiate how Arthur, he's the Joker, he's crazy, he's off-center, he's off-axis. So I thought that was a cool way to represent it inside his typography. And that's a perfect place to pause it to even see how unbelievably complicated. There's probably easier ways to do this. Some auto tracking or something, auto tracking masking techniques. But I get it in my brain to have, I want the text to start appearing behind the guy, and that's just, it's a masking technique, same like these other lines. I'm building the typography here. It's all line by line, because I want to actually lay out the alignment very precisely, and you can't really do that inside a single title field. You kind of have to duplicate the titles and manipulate them all layers, all 3 lines independently. So once I set that up, then I can start building out the masked layers. And the way I did it on this one, I've got a base layer down here. Let's zoom in. So this is my base layer. That was kind of almost just a reference layer, and also where I left my audio. I have my titles. Computer's being slow to respond. But this one, that one's the front layer. And then I have 2 separate layers. One for the character as he's walking through, and you can that's what this whole red line here is. You create the mask, and then you animate those nodes as it moves, or through keyframes, as finely animated as possible, to kind of just to mask out the words as he goes by. But then I have one for the character as he's walking, because there's some on, the left side and the right side. And then this top video layer is for the wall here to create the reveal of the City Hall text, or the other part of the reveal. Super fucking complicated. I think I probably spent, 8 to 10 hours animating those keyframes. So then I move on to the next sequence, which gets much better to animate. Basic motion tracking. So I think it was tracked to like the lock over here, so that when the camera follows Arthur, the text just flows right off screen. And then the next line of dialogue, let's see, that's motion track to Arthur, but then I have this kind of like drop and bounce animate in for each of those lines, and that's what this is getting deep into multiple nests, but that's what this looks like over here. You got a couple of different nests, and then you have, that one was not dropped in. Oh no, it was this transition right here. This is just a slide-in transition to create that animation. So the text is motion tracked, and then if we back up, you can see like there's that animation, and then all of that transition animation to bring the text in, and then all of that gets nested together, and we drop this focus effect right over here. We drop that focus effect, and that just gives it the text a little bit of texture as it plays out. This sequence here is by far one of my most favorite parts of typography editing. It's a trick I've done at this point twice in my editing career. Let's play it out. That's it right there. What's with the makeup then? So, same basic trick on this line of text, you can see it right here. Just that, creating that mask on the character, and then reveal the text. Just, again, the text animation, a very simple. These were just keyframed animations to slide them in. They start off on the side here because they were hidden by the character, and then they just slide in into the final layout. All that gets nested. And then I took that clip, duplicated it, flipped it around, blurred it out, and motion tracked it to, again, the side of the character over here. Just to mirror, like, oh, we're looking at the text from the flip side. I just think that is a cool, clever, fun little flourish. We'll call it that. A fun little flourish. A fun little creative flourish. And then, the quote that inspired the whole video. Very simple fade outs. There's an edit here in the actual video where as soon as he finishes talking, the shot ends actually really abruptly. So I slowed the shot down. Let's look at that. Custom, 44%. I'm also using a trick here in Final Cut. You go into the your timing menu and video quality, switch to optical flow, and what that's doing, especially in a slow shot like this where there isn't any movement, it's auto generating all of the in-between frames. So when you slow down that footage, it makes it look buttery smooth. To good effect in all of these shots. This is also an extremely slowed down shot from later on in that sequence. And that's kind of it. That's behind the final cut of my Joker quote video. Hope you got something out of it. Hope that inspired you, maybe? See you next time.
Oh, hey, guys.
Oh, you must be going down to that rally at City Hall. I hear it's gonna be nuts.
Oh, is that today?
Yeah. What's with the makeup then?
My mom died. Celebrating.